Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back. My name is Joanna. This is going to be your or our reading for mid-month when it coincides with Uranus going into the sign of Taurus. I asked my guide, okay, is it new moon or full moon or new moon or mid-month, or is it the Uranus? And I got a feeling that what I will talk about will encompass all of these energies, but I feel like we are very much being influenced by the Uranus energy coming into the light, so to speak, but also the new moon, because there's a very real feeling of becoming something new, starting something new, or I want to say, becoming something new. Appropriately so, the word that was given to me was the word transition. And I kind of chuckle because we are in transition all the time, but particularly I want to say in the last little while, the last few months, maybe even from November, a lot of us are in transitions. The fact is nothing ever stays still, but for many of you, this will be a fundamental transition. So I'm just going to put my glasses on. And let me see what we got from my meditation. So some of the channeled messages, transition was the word that was being shown. So many of us are in a place where we are going to be choosing who we are not. In other words, we are going to reflect upon ourselves. We're going to reflect upon our past, and we're going to decide to choose to be somebody different, to do things different, to see things different, hence the word transition. So we're not there yet. There is never a finish line, I don't believe, but we are certainly on a trajectory to get there. And this is all I feel about staying true to who we really are. Now, the word really is underlined because unless we truly know ourselves, we can't really then be true to ourselves. So therefore, there is a certain amount of energy that needs to be focused upon learning or understanding the basis of who you are. I saw some of you, this is about diving in emotionally. So for the next little while, as we go through these transitions, it is about diving in. So for some of you, yes, because this is a mid-month reading, you will be diving into an ocean or diving into a river or lake for a swim. And, certainly it's that time of year. But more importantly, this is about transitioning from blocking yourself emotionally speaking to diving right in. So this could, it could point to any direction. It could mean that you allow yourself to be more open emotionally speaking. It could mean that you allow yourself to be more expressive with your emotions. It could be anything. Point is, you're diving into something or diving deeper emotionally, and you guys understand what that means. I saw many of you exploring waters. So yes, for some of you, you're going to have a trip when you're going to go diving. Absolutely. But for most of you, this is exploring waters, which is exploring our emotions. And in order to explore our emotions, we'll first have to become aware of our emotions. So it feels like the transition here is emotionally based first and foremost. For some of you, this is about exploring the subconscious aspects of you, and I am a fan of this. Mind to me is like my drug of choice. I love everything about it and understanding how it works. But sounds like a lot of us are going to go in that direction anyway, because it is appropriate steps in order to figure out who we are. So the next question is, well, if it's subconscious, how do we know? Great question for those of you who are asking. And if that happens to be at the moment when I say it, don't freak out. It happens all the time. So the point here is about observing our actions and behaviors in order to draw certain conclusions. From those conclusions, we can then have a clearer picture of where we stand, so then we can decide which way we choose to go later. That's what was shown. They said recognition is key, and the number 7 was presented to me. So 7 could be any number of things, aside from 7 in the month of July, of course, but 7, it is about It's interesting. I'm hearing the word accountability to oneself. And again, it requires recognition first of who we are if we want to be, if we allow ourselves, if you want to be accountable to ourselves. The number 7 is also, for me personally, the number of mastery. So it's an emotional mastering of a certain aspect of ourselves. And for many of you, this is about how you connect with other people. But at the end of the day, everything is about how we connect with other people. So a lot of it will be transitioning from being in a certain relationship, being used to relating in a certain way to people, how you relate to yourself, your conditioning, your belief system, anything that prevents you, us from being true to ourselves. And again, unless we understand ourselves first, we cannot really be true to it. The other thing that I saw is that many of you will be understanding these things by allowing yourself to look at the moon. The moon to me represents the light that exposes our shadows. So in a more regular way, this is about understanding your fears, the things that we want to hide from, the things that we feel uncomfortable about, the things that we feel are weaknesses, or whatever term we want to call it. And I'm being reminded or guided to say that in most cases, I don't know why most, but in most cases, our darker aspects, or the shadows, or the dark, whatever you want to call it, have the potential to be our greatest strength. So again, if we can examine that, then we can come to whole bunch of different conclusions that we were not able to see before. So this is in a nutshell about understanding ourselves on a deeper level. Why? Because when we do, we will be able to choose differently for ourselves. And for many of us, being able to have different choices than we have had up until this time is very, very important. Let me see what else. Yes, the number 5 is around us. I keep wanting to say you, but that also includes me because it's a mid-month general reading. 5 is all about changes. So transition changes go hand in hand. It's actually, I think, one and the same. 4 is the foundation. So these are changes to your foundations. Beautifully put. That number adds to 5 and 4 is 9, which is endings and letting go. So I always say endings don't necessarily mean you have to let go of something you care about. Sometimes that's the case, but normally it's letting go of things that no longer serve us. So again, whether it is the way we understand ourselves, what labels we put on ourselves, what we attach ourselves to, who we attach ourselves to, the things we do for other people more so than for ourselves, whatever it is that limits us and our understanding of ourselves, many of you will be transitioning away from that. Now, he's saying to me that this is a 7-year cycle. I don't know much about astrology. That much I have heard, that Uranus is going to be very potent for the next 7 years. And there's a bit of a break, I believe, in November for a few months. But generally speaking, this is a longer term project. So it's not something that's going to be very reactionary. In other words, many of your decisions will not be reactionary. You will put a lot more thought and effort into how you want to do things going forward. So for some of you, this is going to be apparent right now. For some of you, it has been apparent for a while. And for others of you, this is going to become apparent as you keep going. Incidentally, my throat is being blocked, and I hear the word recognition. For some of you, you will be dealing fundamentally with a fear of lack of recognition or fear of being recognized. And there is absolutely a big deal if you are afraid of being recognized. So that will be for some of you. Let me see what else. So that's all I got. That's what I got as far as the channel messages. Now, with the cards, so I said, okay, what will we be working on? Beautiful, because the first 2 cards you have is 7 of Wands in reverse and the World in reverse. And for those of you who know me, I am not a traditional tarot reader. This is not one of my gifts. So I learn, but I look at the cards in a different way. And some of it may be traditional meanings because I'm starting to learn. But what I'm seeing here is that many of you will be transitioning from having lack of faith in yourself, having to give up on a goal, having to given up on your dream, having given up on an idea, whatever it is, and it's to do with the conditioning, whatever it is, whatever the lack is within you, you will be choosing for the most part to address it and move away from it. Now, I want to say this is inner conflict. Yes, it could be with other people, but this is fundamentally changing who we are at the core. I'm going to rephrase. This is fundamentally potent to us changing, because we have free will, to us changing how we move on in this world. The world in reverse, to me, indicates that certainly it's a transition. It implies that there is an opportunity to end a very long-standing cycle, but because it's shown to me in reverse, it's saying to me that there is going to be a bit of difficulty letting go. So we are always attached to some things. Some of those are great, some of those are terrible. And even if they're terrible, we still attach ourselves to it because it is strangely comfortable. When you've been doing something most of your life, for example, if you have been down on yourself most of your life, chances are your life is going to reflect that. But in order for you to change, you have to give up that idea about you. Now, imagine this. If you always identified yourself as someone who always gives up, the idea of you not being that can be very frightening. So change actually can be very difficult for a lot of people because it implies that we lose something in the process. But the fundamental difference is that when you get to the place of empowerment, the very thing you are fearful of dissipates. So it doesn't even exist anymore. So there's going to be a bit of determination to want to stay there. What I do want to say for those of you who cling to your old ways of being, that it is much easier to let it go first rather than have the universe to do it for you. So here's this example. Okay, for example, if you have been in a job that absolutely sucks and sucks the living daylights out of you, and you're not choosing to do anything about it, and you choose to complain because it perpetually keeps you in that cycle of complaining, the universe will eventually come and say, listen, we've warned you many times, you are not paying attention. Since you're not listening, let us do you a favor. We'll do it for you. And that becomes a little bit more difficult. What's interesting here is that we got the Tower. So there is definitely some changes. So what I want to say here, if there are some changes in your life coming up, and you fundamentally know these changes are going to deal with things that are fundamentally not good for you, even though you want it, they may not be good for you. Do your best and try not to resist it. Remember, the overall energy is to help us become true to ourselves. And when we cling to things because we're afraid, well, then we're not being true to ourselves. That just can't happen. So then I said, okay, show me, who are they? Who are we becoming? Like, what is this all about? You have the buffalo. Now, this is a beautiful creature. It's a wise creature. And you see this, the face of this creature, well, the buffalo, is very calm and very serene. You see there is thunder here, and you see this creature, massive creature, is walking straight towards it. What this is saying here is, whatever is coming at you, face it with the determination of knowing that every storm that we encounter helps us see things brighter. And yes, it's not a comfortable process. As I'm saying this, I have this coming up. It's a feeling of, oh my goodness. But this is about shaping and reshaping who we think we are. And I don't know about you, but whenever we have Tower moments, it certainly gives us the opportunity to look at things differently and let go of things that don't serve us. The buffalo creature is also extremely, well, I hear the word agile. I don't know if that's the case. That's the word I heard. So very flexible, I'm assuming. But it's also, even though it's a very big animal, it doesn't overuse its strength in futile battles. And this is straight channeling. This is not about the card. So the message here is, face it head on, but don't fight it either. In other words, don't waste your energy fighting something you can't. Well, you can't fight a storm. That would not be very possible. But face it. So a lot of it is about allowing things to happen. Now, I know some of you are going to say, what the hell is she talking about, right? How can I allow this to happen? Listen, if you have no choice, and if you know that it's fundamentally good for you, it just, sometimes we have to let it go. So then I said, okay, what's preventing them from being that? Beautiful, us, not them. You have the golden egg. And it came to me actually in reverse. And I don't read these cards reverse, but they asked me to look for that feeling. So because this card represents what is preventing us from being this magnificent, trusting in itself animal, is us not listening to our heart, not listening to our voice, not listening to our inner guidance. So this is about finding time in quiet where you can slow down the brain and release some chatter, where you can find enough stillness to listen to your heart. Now, when we listen to our heart, we are becoming true to ourselves. So you see where this is going. This is fundamentally transformative. So then I said, okay, what do they need to focus on? You have leg up in protection position. This is about not allowing yourself to allow others into your life, whether it be help, whether it be emotions, whether it be in some other way. Generally speaking, it's emotionally. This is about allowing others to help you. So if you have been traditionally used to doing everything by yourself because you believe there is no one out there for you, notice if you're not constantly proving yourself correct, but also ask yourself if this is the way you want to continue. Okay, so I want to say the words, the Rome was not built overnight, nor was it built by an individual person. In other words, the message here is, don't push away those who want to help you. Very, very important. The next card you have is building blocks. How appropriate, because this is all about foundation. So this is all about solidifying, building, or rebuilding, or reshaping your foundation. Foundations are our belief systems. It's what we think. It's what we feel. It's, the foundation we have as far as a belief system about our work, about our family, your home as a foundation. Whatever foundation has had cracks in it, or whatever beliefs you have that prevent you from being this beautiful creature, you are being asked to address that, but by addressing those things. And he's saying to me, say the word shadow. So the shadows I was talking about earlier is when we connect with our shadows, when we connect with our fears, we then are able to understand ourselves better. When we are able to understand ourselves better, there's much more chance of feeling like we have choices and we are much more in control of our life. If our fears overtake us and we don't have a deeper understanding of what that is, then we can't really effectively deal with it, can we? Right? So this is about totally reconditioning the system that is called you. And I know it's a lot of psychology and a lot of philosophy, but I'm trusting that this is going to make sense for you, whoever you're meant to be, to hear it. So I said, okay, show me more cards. You got the Tower. I'm just going to go through the cards. You got the Tower. You've got 10 of Cups. You have King of Swords in reverse. And you have a Page of Coins. I see this as a story. So in the next little while, you can expect a tower moment. A tower moment is nothing to be afraid of. A tower moment, in my opinion, is to be celebrated. Why? Because it allows you to restructure you in a way that will make significant difference in a positive way going forward. And sometimes we choose not to deal with it or address it for whatever reason, and we keep on getting the same thing over and over again. Where if we fundamentally cling on to things that don't serve us, then we're fundamentally not going to feel any different than what we currently feel. So when a moment like this comes up, and this could be for some of you about a relationship, this could be for some of you about a job. When that moment comes up and the universe starts to reshuffle your environment, know that there is a bigger picture beyond what you can currently see. Not because it's a bad picture, but because the universe says whatever is being affected is no longer serving you, or whatever is being affected needs your attention in order to look at its structure. And I always say, when things are in our face, we're paying attention. When things are not in our face, we have a tendency to kind of shove it aside. So if you have been feeling hopeless for a while, down on yourself for a while, if you have been feeling like you're not true to yourself, it's time for the tower moment to come in and show you exactly how to help you achieve that. The Ten of Cups to me signifies a lot of it has to do with how you grew up. And I always say it is always about how we grew up. It's just that is how we are fundamentally shaped. So for many of you, this is going to be a tower moment around a family structure. It could be it would be a tower moment or a shift of your foundation, your belief system that comes from your home. It could also signify that there's going to be fundamental changes in your home front and your home environment. Why? Because you are going to be addressing your thinking. So the Knight of Coins, Knight of Swords, to me in this spread, if I can call it that, signifies thoughts and beliefs used in a way that is harmful. So this is all about what you think, what you speak, and the ideas you have, which is what you think. So you will be addressing this. And for some of you, this is about value. This is about work. This is about conditioning around what you believe yourself to be, fundamentally speaking, and how that belief appears to you in real life. So for some of you, you might be transitioning into a different career, to a different job. Yes, this card signifies typically a brand new job opportunity. If that's the case for you, then you will be ending one way of being and going into another way of being. So if there is an opportunity being presented to you, notice if you do not have to reshuffle some of your belief systems so that you don't end up in the same situation again. And I always say life moves every single nanosecond. Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. And where we are is a combination of experience we have had. So if you are not happy with where you're at, it's either something inside of you or outside of you, then look at what you believe yourself to be. And when I say believe, because he says they're thinking it's a thought. It's not a thought, it's a feeling. I can say I believe this, but if I don't feel it, the thought is empty. So for many of you, recognize your own sense of value as in how you feel about yourself. Not what you want to project to others, not what you want people to think, not what you want to believe. What you truly feel is within you. Because that's the only way you're going to get to a point where you will truly understand yourself and hear your own heart. Okay? Is there anything else I need to tell them? A lot of it is about you, wisdom, understanding yourself from a deeper, higher, much more expanded perspective. And it's about learning. Everything is about learning. So this energy will connect with all of us in different way. It will affect all of us in different way. But whatever it is absolutely transformative. And keep in mind, this may go on for a while. I mean, Uranus is here for 7 years. This is about the new moon, May 15th energies, but there's a combination. So this may transpire over, I want to say, over 3 months for some of you. For some of you, you've noticed this is happening, and for some of you, this is going to happen in the very near future. Point is, whatever we are going through is meant to give us the opportunity to expand our awareness so that we can transition into different way of being. And I always say, without awareness, you cannot address something that keeps you stuck. Well, if you're not aware of it, you're not going to deal with it, right? So that's all I have for you. And he just drew a huge circle. So this to me signifies completion. And the world is completion. Yes, for some of you may move. Some of you may transition to different homes, different I hear educational systems, whatever that means, different jobs. And a lot of it is because you have been stuck. And I also want to add, in most cases, when we are stuck, it's because we are keeping ourselves there. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys digest what I said. I hope this makes sense. Do let me know how it makes sense if you wish to. Down below, you can comment. Thank you so much for listening, for liking, for sharing, for commenting. If this makes no sense to you right now, listen to it 4, 6, or 8 weeks from now and see how that resonates. Because I feel like the messages I'm getting are more expanded, just, time limit. But anyway, we can't energetically, put, what I'm trying to say is, we're dealing with energy, so they're not just like for 4 weeks. There's movability with it. Okay, I think I'm done. And for those of you who number 7 is important, I'm seeing the number 7, also the number 28. As in May 28. So I see what that means to you. Thank you so much once again. And of course, for private sessions, because this is general, that information is down below. I wish you best of luck, and I will see you soon.